They say regret doesn't strike at the moment you slip, but later, in the heavy quiet that settles afterward, when the noise dies down, when the lights dim, you're left alone with the echo of all the choices you wish you'd made differently. That's where it started for me. One decision I believed was harmless. One instant that shifted everything. It was a plain Tuesday evening, the kind that moves with a soft, predictable rhythm. My husband, Michael, was out on a business trip, and the house carried that familiar hollow stillness it always had when he wasn't there. I came home from work, set my purse on the counter, and reached for a glass of water. That's when I heard the faint, steady sound of running water upstairs. I remembered that Liam, my stepson, had returned early from university that week. He was 21, quiet, thoughtful, distant in a way that suggested he carried storms no one else could name. At first, I brushed it off, but as soon as I reached the top of the stairs, something felt wrong. The bathroom door was slightly ajar, warm steam drifting out like fading shadows. Liam was never careless. If anything, he guarded his privacy intensely. That open door didn't make sense. I paused, then called gently, "Liam, are you okay?" No reply came, only the sound of water striking porcelain. I nudged the door wider and froze. He sat on the floor, fully clothed, water spilling over the sink, his hands shaking. His eyes were hollow, distant, fixed on the flowing tap as if it were the only thing holding him together. "Liam," I whispered, stepping closer, "what's happening?" He flinched, blinking like he'd just snapped out of a trance. Then quickly turned off the faucet and wiped his wet hands on his jeans. "Sorry," he murmured. He said, "I didn't mean to worry you." But everything in his trembling voice told me something was deeply wrong. I sat on the edge of the tub, forcing my tone to stay steady. "You don't have to explain, but please talk to me," I urged. He hesitated. Then with a shaky breath, the truth slipped out. He couldn't concentrate. He couldn't sleep. He kept hearing whispers, footsteps, seeing things, sometimes even his father, when Michael wasn't home. My stomach twisted. "You've been seeing your dad?" I asked, and he nodded, tears gathering, whispering that the version he saw was angry, different, and he didn't know if it was real or if he was losing his grip on reality. For a second, I felt the air leave my lungs. Michael had wrestled with his temper for years. Hidden beneath polite smiles and peaceful dinners, pieces of him Liam never fully knew. I touched Liam's shoulder gently and said, "You're not losing your mind, you're overwhelmed. We'll handle this." But he shook his head and whispered that Michael had been reading his messages, that he knew Liam had told me about his temper, and he was terrified of the storm that would follow. That's when everything connected. The fear wasn't imagined. It was real. Liam wasn't paranoid. Michael had been monitoring him. I had noticed strange patterns on my own phone, but I'd convinced myself it didn't matter. I told Liam to rest while I checked something, then walked to Michael's study and powered on his computer. I knew I shouldn't, but I did. What I uncovered drained the warmth from my body. Hidden folders, saved audio, camera logs, every room, every conversation, even private moments Liam thought were his own. My hands went numb. Michael hadn't been away. He'd been watching. And that night, I made the worst mistake of my life. I deleted everything. Every log, every file, believing I was protecting Liam, protecting whatever was left of our family from collapsing. But truth doesn't vanish just because you erase it. The next morning, Liam was gone. His phone left on the counter and his car still sitting in the driveway. And when Michael returned 2 days later demanding to know where Liam had gone, I told him I didn't know was the truth, but not the part that mattered. He studied me with a sharp, uneasy focus, suspicion darkening his expression. And for a moment, I caught a glimpse of the man behind all those hidden recordings. Cold, deliberate. Weeks drifted by, the police dismissing it as a runaway case, Michael brushing it off as a temporary rebellion. But I knew better, because every night since then I hear the faint sound of water running upstairs, the same soft trickle from that Tuesday evening. Sometimes I go up and look, half expecting to find him there again, sitting on the tiles like before. But there's nothing waiting for me, only the mist and the fading echo of what used to be. They say regret doesn't strike at the moment you cross a boundary. It lingers, biding its time, and it waited for me until I was alone in this house, built on secrets, haunted not by spirits but by the silence of everything I tried so hard to hide, and now that silence is all that remains.